Conversations from the Cave is a raw self-help podcast dedicated to discussing men's issues. From pornography to parenting, from religion to real life, from learning to loving. We discuss the real issues that affect real men every day. Join us each week for powerful, revealing Conversations from the Cave. Now your host, Kurt Kennedy.
You're listening to Conversations from the Cave. I'm your host, Kurt Kennedy. I am excited to have in studio my crew. We're going to send it around the horn and have our crew introduce themselves. Mustang, can you get us started off?
Hey, this is Mustang from Birmingham, Alabama.
We have in studio also my good friend B.A. B.A., can you sound off for us?
This is B.A., born-again believer in Jesus, and I'm here in Huntsville.
And finally, last but not least, we have Nola. Nola, can you give us a word, big guy?
Yes, this is Nola73. Meet you where you at.
Gentlemen, we've been going strong on a couple of topics. We've covered things like pornography. We've talked a little bit about women. Today, we're going to talk about an issue that is pressing in the hearts and minds and lives of men every day. And that's the issue of pride and the male ego. One of the challenges with broaching this topic is that all of us are male.
True story.
And all of us, unfortunately, regardless of where we come from, we've all got some sort of ego. What that means is that there are certain times where we make decisions to protect the ego out of pride. And one of the challenges is how to balance a positive self-esteem, ego, and making choices, wise choices. Because some people will make unwise choices simply to protect a prideful position or an ego. All right? So I'm going to start off with Mustang. Mustang, can you tell us what is the male ego from your perspective?
I feel like a lot of times us as guys, we are, I'm going to use the word inclined to feel, because of our position, I do believe we're all given an automatic authority. I feel sometimes we are inclined to kind of flaunt that a bit. And I feel like sometimes because of things that we know may be wrong, decisions we know may be wrong, choices we know may be wrong, we know that. We know it. We know it before it happens. Nobody needs to tell us it's wrong. But because of our ego, we're more than happy to take two more steps looking even more foolish, or the risking looking even more foolish, to kind of protect that and guard that. So that's something I've definitely done. I've gotten a lot better over the years at it, though. A lot better. But before I'd be tripping all over myself trying to prove that I was right about something I knew I was wrong about. So.
Okay. So proving or trying to prove we're right when we're maybe aware that we might be wrong is a good sort of synopsis. BA, what's your take on this notion of male ego? What is it to you?
Well, BA here. I have just never been a personal fan of ego. Ego to me is just putting yourself above other people and realizing that I have power over you. I can manipulate you. I can, do these other things, and I feel good about it no matter what you feel about it. So, ego to me has been a thing that, through my lifetime, it's never been a huge issue for me, and maybe I'm having ego right now by saying that, but that's what I got to put out there.
An ego problem.
Yeah, I'm too cool to have an ego problem. That's right. Yeah, right. I'm too humble to have an ego problem. You know how humble I am. Right. No, I hear you, man. Nola, you want to check in on that one?
Yeah, I'm gonna use a live scenario. with pride and ego, and both of them are relating to me. There was a time as I was getting to know God. I was working in a little city called Aniana, Alabama, and we had a lead man that they appointed over us, and he came in and he started to, take all of the work that me and another coworker was doing and relate it back to the supervisor that he was pushing out a lot of the equipment. And the supervisor wanted to come down and kind of see exactly what was going on with the operation and so forth. And when the supervisor came in, my other coworker and myself devised a plan to where one was going to call off and the other one was going to just take some vacation time to prove a point that you're not doing what you told the supervisor that you was doing. And so that's a good example of our pride versus working just for the company. We wanted to just show that we let our pride get in the way and our ego to put somebody else down. And
wow,
what God showed me later was something that I was going to be able to use, such as right now, but actually I used it in quite a few other scenarios of how pride and ego can come together to destroy a person.
Yeah, wow.
And that's very personal, and it relates directly to the topic that we're talking about. Now, we did go back and explain to the supervisor why we did what we did, and we also explained to the young man, and that was the humility side of the pride and the ego.
Well, what you brought up is actually a very good point, that once pride is in the way, humility, and sometimes not just humility, but humiliation, which is quite a different word, follows. The Bible says pride goeth before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. So clearly ego and pride are related, but in addition to that, so is pride and a fall. I think personally, when one of the things that I started doing early on in my career, and one of the things that has been sort of a revelation, I remember when I first graduated, I was a fairly young man and the youngest in my class. And I remember so much responsibility coming all of a sudden, and it was just really surprising. And I remember going up to my room once and kneeling down and saying, "Lord, make me great. I want to do great things for you." Thinking that was a humble question, a humble thought, but just do something with me, Lord. Make me great, Lord. Do something impactful. And it was full of pride because my definition of great wasn't his definition of great. I wanted to run something or make something or do something different. And what was interesting is the Lord ended up answering that prayer in quite a unique way, quite the opposite way of the way that I intended or thought. So his definition of great is what was demonstrated by his son. And his definition of great is servant leadership. So instead of being at the head of something, it's being in a role of service. And the thing that was very impactful was the moment I understood that, although I went through a lot of bumps and bruises to get there, but the moment that I understood that, the very first words whenever I come in contact with a person that's either a patient or a person that is, in some role of authority, is how can I serve you? And the moment that you say that, it immediately takes away the idea of pride. I mean, there's a certain amount of humility that you have to put yourself in when you tell someone, I'm going to help to serve you. I want to serve you. how can I do that best? And so when I have my staff answer the phone, I don't have them just say hello. I ask them to say, how may we serve you? Because once the idea of service is understood, then the whole attitude that follows is different. You start looking to the needs of the person. You start removing yourself from the picture. You start looking to hear what that person is saying to you that they have as their need. And the only way to do that is by changing the literal mindset from the beginning, which is instead of how can I get this done to how can I serve you? Now, not everybody is going to be somebody you can serve, but the idea, do you see what I'm saying? The idea. What do you guys think about that? Mustang, I heard you have a little bit of agreement there. What's going through your mind, sir?
What I like, and this is what I like to imagine us as, me as personally, and I'm not trying to, this is going to sound very, not humble, very egotistic until you understand. I took a little jujitsu. I'm the first person in my family to have a degree. First person in my family to own a business. This, that, and the other. Just a bunch of different little things. But what I like to think of us as, and especially somebody like you in your position, which I look up to, is a lion. And if you imagine a lion that's tame, that lion is not any less powerful because it's tame. No. It is not any less. It's not even no less any less. Lion. It's no less a lion, but it is under control, and that is under self-control. It's under self-control. Now, excuse me, it's under technically controlled by somebody else. Somebody else has actually tamed that lion, but we as humans are able to control ourselves. Right. And that's what's so beautiful about us as men, and that's what I think is so powerful, is yes, we are men. We are the head of our house. We are the authority. But because of that, technically, and this is my personal belief, I have more responsibility. There are more things I've got to do. You know what I mean? I need to make sure, I need to be the one making sure when my kids go out of the house, they've got their coats and their jackets. When I need to be the one getting up and cooking for my wife, if I have the time. Now, there's certain things that are barring that. There's certain, situations and work schedules and things. I need to be doing things for my family, making sure I take care of them if I have the means to do that. I need to be locking the doors at night. I need to be doing these things. I do have the power. I can bench press my wife. There's no questions in my mind. You know what I mean? That's not a problem. But that's what is a man? Is a man going to go throw his wife around and beat her up and hurt? Is that really power? Is that power? No, that's not power. And again, like what you said, when you come on, someone who is a doctor, who is going through all this, leaps and bounds and hoops and all this stuff to get to where you're at, and the first thing you say is, how can I serve you? How can I be less than to make your life better than? Yeah. You know what I mean? I love that.
Nola 73 here.
Go ahead.
And this is what I wanted to also piggyback on, because you made a great statement there. How may I serve you? And what I would like to say to the listeners is, if you're planning on incorporating that statement, how may I help you, whether you have a business or any kind of work for someone, if you plan to take that road on, you have to be in a position to not let your ego or your pride get in the way.
Right.
Because you have to be in a position to allow your higher being to work with you, because it will become challenging, because he needs to make sure that, that this is something that you're willing to do. And what I mean by that is, there was a time in my life where I had very little patience. And I said to God, I need you to help me work on my patience. And I would do everything in my will to go around what God was trying to put in place. And one day, I just happened to go to Walmart. And I went to Walmart literally to pick up a can of, I don't know, it was something for my wife to make some kind of casserole. and I just needed one